Christian parenting.
Welcome to Pardon the Mess. I'm your host, Courtney DeFeo, and on this podcast, we talk about raising kids as Christian parents. It's so very important for me to honor God with my family and the 2 kids that He's given me. But honestly, it's not always neat or easy or tidy, but it's always worth it. So join us every week to laugh and learn together on this beautiful and messy journey of parenting. Do you guys ever have one of those days where literally nothing works? Like, this is the day. If you see a fire in Colleyville, it's because I'm blown up my computer. Oh, sweet Lord, help me just get through this. It's really annoying. But now I'm going to redirect us to a great parenting conversation. We did this in 2 parts today because it was really long and I didn't want to cut it. I loved the entire chat with Dr. David and Amanda Erickson. So part 1, if you haven't listened to that, go back. And then part 2 is just the continuation of our chat. And so if you've got littles in the house up until elementary, this is for you. I've been wanting to have someone on for quite some time to talk about how do you do this? How do you keep scripture in mind and honor God with your kids? Also, not just yell at them all day or punish all the bad behavior out of them or have an environment of fear. It's really hard. And it's really hard if you've got many kids and if you've got all kinds of personalities, it can be really tricky. And so what I love about them is they're both parts. They're child development and they're realistic. They're parents, so they know what it's like to have personalities and wild kids in your home, but they're also based in scriptural truth and they're encouraging. They don't want their home to be one of just, here's all the things you can't do. You're bad. You're in trouble. They really want to set a stage for values and expectations on here's what we want you to do. And they're teaching their kids. I loved it. I wish I'd had it when my kids were little. So I hope you enjoy. One other thing I want to tell you about is you may have noticed that we do guides at Christian Parenting from time to time. We did one on technology a while ago, and we're doing one now called Identity Simplified. And what it means is that there's a ton of different contributors over at Christian Parenting, and they pull all of those resources on the same topic and they put it in a guide. So for something like identity, that can be a heavy and complex topic. It's like, how do you even talk to your kids about who you were made to be? What is sexual identity? What is gender identity? And how can we honor God with who we are? And so because it's complex, we wanted to help you out and just pull all the resources together, put them in a guide, and it's only $5 right now at cpgive.org. So go over to cpgive.org and check out our latest guide, Identity Simplified. Okay, enjoy my second part of the chat with Dr. David and Amanda Erickson. Let's talk about consequences. So I loved your chapter on the rod because I think those of us that grew up getting spanked, and I even spanked my kids, and you look back and you're like, what was I just was grasping for something to control an out of control situation. So if that is not your favorite go-to and you unpack what biblically it was saying that we have messed up, what are some ideas, especially for my toddler, that she was actually hurting herself? She was jumping up and slamming her knees to the ground over and over again. She was yanking, so all these kind of things I know that can feel out of control and scary as a parent. You want the chaos to stop. You want them to just get a control of themselves. So what are some go-to, and I know you said they're personal, but any ideas for those toddler years when they're acting a little bit crazy?
Number 1 advice for parents with toddlers is to find the yes. Find the thing that you can say yes to that meets that same need or continues that momentum. Yeah. So for a kid who is jumping and hurting themselves, move them to a place where they can jump safely and turn it into jumping jacks or turn it into a frog parade. Follow me. I'm the mama frog. You're the little frog. And so instead of telling them you cannot do this, turn it into something that they can keep the same movement, the same momentum, or meet the same, sensory need, and find a way for them to do it safely. And that will not even feel like a moment of correction for your child, but it will at the same time teach them how you can do that in a safe way and in a way that aligns with our family rules or values. So would
you consider that a redirecting moment or strategy?
Yeah, redirecting for sure. Yeah. But but with toddlers, you need to be so specific, right? Because you can't just be you need to jump somewhere else. They're going to be I'm going to take 2 steps over here and do the same thing, So they really need to model
Yeah.
to model the yes, or to give them a very specific redirection of where that can be done safely.
But you're often gonna, and then you're gonna have to move them physically.
Yeah.
Like, and some parents like, what, can I pick up my kid? Yes, pick up your kid. Just pick them up.
Like, don't rely on your words.
No.
Rely on your presence to help them. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can, and you're right. You can talk way too much to toddlers, and their ability to take in information that way is not as much as our ability to talk.
Yeah. And I don't know what I expected. Like the 3-year-old to be like, "You're right, mommy. I'm so sorry that I'm an animal. Like she's not going to come back with what I want her to. Like I'm trying to like train her, and she's not even hearing it. She's just not even hearing it. She's stuck on the like Barbie doll that got ripped out of her hand or whatever the thing was.
Right. Yeah. They're not in those moments when they're dysregulated and their emotions are high. They are not, no matter what lesson, no matter how you teach the lesson, they are not going to learn the lesson you want them to learn. You can use fear to stop what's happening and override their, override what's happening in their brain to stop that. But that is a survival response. When we use fear or threats, like they stop out of survival, not because they're like, I'm ready to listen to your wisdom and learn the lesson that God is clearly trying to teach me through your God-given authority. Like they're not going to, they're stopping out of fear and out of survival. And when we overuse that, it has very long-term negative impact on them, just on their mental health and their radar for what's healthy and not healthy for the rest of their life, but also in the moment, they're still not learning the thing that's going to help them do better in the future. The next thing happens in 22 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, David, before we get to heading, let me ask you this. Is there a place for, and I did this a lot, but separation. So things get heated. The mom doesn't have a clear brain. The dad's heated. Is there a place for, like you said, picking up and just being like, you go to your space, I go to my space before I say some things I don't want to say? I do some things I don't want to do. Is there a place for that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is a skill, that in some ways we're helping teach our kids because as adults, we know sometimes the most important thing we can do is just take a breath. Okay. And just disengage. But our kids, if they're, let's say, fighting, okay, they will stay engaged until we come and physically separate them, right? And so this is a skill we're starting to teach them. Like, no, I'm going to physically come in here and split this up, okay, with my body, and then and sometimes, in the toddler years, that might look like the way we're going to start de-escalating this situation is you're going to sit on one side of me and you're going to sit on the other side of me. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're all just going to take a few breaths here. And then we're going to see where we need to go from here on actually solving the problem, but we can't solve the problem while we're all hyped up. And
that's great.
And sometimes, you come in loud, like when I know we're going to talk about hitting here in just a moment. So when two kids are hitting, you don't come in like, oh,
my darling little love.
You shouldn't hit your brother. Like, that's not how you come in.
You got to match their energy.
You come in maybe pretty big and loud for a moment, because in that moment you're trying to stop a behavior,
right?
As fast as possible. Right. And so you come in loud, you physically split them apart.
But you're not coming in to overpower them loud. You're coming in to like match their energy because that's what they're attuned to. And so like you're not coming in like a mama bear, I'm going to pull y'all apart and I'm yelling and screaming out of control loud. It's more of like, I hear how loud you are and I am matching your voice so you hear me.
Okay. Yeah.
May I say one more thing? Because you were asking about.
You may.
I may have misread it, but I kind of thought you were asking maybe subtly about timeouts and is it okay to like let your child go be separated from you if you need a break or you take a parent timeout. And I just wanted to like circle back to that and say that like the evidence on timeouts is that they are not inherently harmful to children. Okay. They are also not very effective at helping them do better in the future unless they are paired with intentional teaching afterwards. And so when we as parents are using a timeout, like you're going to arbitrarily stay in your room for 5 minutes because you're 5 years old. And, you know, like that's just the number that I picked. That is really not helpful. If we're going to be using separation and putting a child, you know, putting them in their room and us in our room, like there needs to be a purpose behind it. Mom, I have to regulate so I can help you regulate. I have to bring my brain and my body back into a place of regulation and peace and calm so I can help you do the same. And I have to be separate from you. So I'm going to go do that. I will be back and set a visual timer, like 3 minutes or whatever, you know, your body, how long will it take you? And then you come back. So we're not arbitrarily like sending them off to teach them a lesson because they won't learn the lesson. And it's not going to help them know how to navigate whatever brought upon the need to put them in timeout. But we are using, if we are needing it or if they're needing it, like we're using it very intentionally and purposefully and not just this arbitrary, you know, go to your room because you're in trouble. Like there needs to be intention behind it. And in those ways, it is that there is absolutely a place for that. Mm-hmm. But it is important to remember that most children are going to need your physical presence and proximity to help regulate. Your body, your nervous system teaches their nervous system how to do that. So we don't want to just leave them there and isolate them because that's the only tool we have. And we're trying not to spank. Like we as parents have to fill our toolbox so that we know what we're doing as soon as we have calmed back down.
Amanda, I'm so glad you went back to that because yes, I was probably subconsciously doing that. But yeah, I think that timeout is definitely something that has worked for me and it hasn't worked. And when in that season where Larson was slamming her knees, we did teach her how to self-regulate. Mm-hmm. And it took about a week of consistent, like that was the thing we were all over is like, you can be frustrated, you can do this, but you cannot just start hurting yourself and hurting other people. And so that was, again, another mom moment with my friend Katie was like, I'm the mom, like we can get this. It's almost like sleep training, but it really did help. And I really did see the effectiveness of teaching her and me both how to self-regulate. And, you know, she wasn't getting it all right at 3, but I had something to pull from for sure that helps. I love that you went back to that. Okay. So you guys have some great ideas. I do not have very physical girls. They are going to assault with words or way over if they're going to throw a punch at somebody. But there's a lot of families that deal with that. And so give us some practical ways that the energy is up, they're frustrated, they want to just punch someone. What do they do with their hands?
Yep. You or me. We have a neurospicy boy who was very physical and very aggressive with his whole body, not just his hands. And so we have a lot of tools in our basket for that one. Yes.
You know, it can,
One thing before you have ideas. I just want to say, I think it's important to point out before parents listen to this and they're like, you're crazy. Bodies and minds regulate in different ways. And some people taking a deep breath and being very mindful and, you know, slow breathing is regulating to their body. But there are also adults who, like, when they get bad news, they go straight to the gym and they run 3 miles. Or they go out and they like finally repair the fence that's been broken for 3 years. Like they do very physical work with their emotions. And we see that in toddlers, in preschoolers, that's how God made them because they are using their whole body to communicate their emotions. And they are not going to go sit in a calm down space and do some prayer breaths and ask Jesus to cleanse their spirit. Like they need to move their body. And when they are 19 or 20, they're going to be out, you know, working in the yard and you're going to be like, hallelujah, somebody else is doing the yard work. But when they're 2 and 3, you have to get creative and teach them what to do. Okay. And so there's the foundation for that.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, the other big picture thing I was going to say, and this is something, I think this was the earliest piece of parenting advice we ever got, was figure out what you want them to do. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because what we don't want them to do is
punch their brother.
Punch their sibling. Mm-hmm. Okay. That we know.
Right.
the harder part, and it's so easy as parents to see the negative thing, like we have no trouble identifying what we don't want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What we struggle with is figuring out, okay, what do I want them to do instead?
So what are some ideas?
And so, so when we had toddlers, we had something called a throw basket. It was a basket full of stuffed toys.
No plastic at all on the
Nothing
toys.
was hard. Okay.
That way, if the toy didn't make it into the basket, nobody was going to get hurt.
And, so if those toys got flung across the room, nothing was damaged. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, if it's a little bit calmer, you can dump the basket out and they can try to throw the toys back into the basket. If they're just whipping stuffed toys around their room, whatever, it'll live.
Yeah.
And
we did try very quickly to direct it to, like, you're angry, let's dump these out. You throw these in, put them back in the basket as hard as you can. Like, all of your frustration goes into putting these toys back in the basket. And that allowed him to really move his body in hugely massive ways without hurting someone. And then the other one was, we told him, like, let's make up an angry dance. Like, when you're angry, you can't say it yet, and you want to use your body to tell me, let's make up an angry dance. And so, like, he made up moves that included a lot of stomping. And I was like, all right, when you're angry, this is how your body can tell me that you're angry with your angry dance.
I love it. Which is different than saying, stop, do not do that, do not be angry. It's like basically saying, like, it's almost like saying boys can't cry. It's like, nope, that emotion's not allowed. So I love that you're saying, like, it's allowed, but what do you do with that feeling?
Right.
I think you also said one about, I've heard you say about, like, squeezing their hands and releasing it, which is such a cool idea.
So this is an outside the moment thing. This isn't like the future facing consequences. When they are regulated and they're able to learn, to tell them, like, hey, and this is toddlers. So this is, using as few words as possible, but you're trying to tell them, like, it is normal that when you're angry, you make a fist. Like, that's how your body is telling you, like, that's a signal from your body, and you can pay attention to it. And also, instead of, like, coming to hurt your brother, stop and squeeze your hands as hard as possible. Like, make a fist, make a fist, make a fist, and then let your hand release very slowly, and you're going to feel some of the anger come out of your hand. And also, you need to be, like, yelling for me to come help you, because I need, I want to come help. I will come to help you. But we as parents know, like, when you like put your fist, your hand in a fist, like, it's really the circulation that is changing, or maybe the nerves that are changing a little bit, but it gives a child, like, the ability to feel like there is a release coming out of my hands, and they've now, like, they're being aware of what is happening, and just their awareness of their hands is going to help them make a better choice. Like, with toddlers, like, teaching them you can control your hands. We did an outline of their hands, put it on a table, decorated it, like, we would have time, like, several times throughout the day, like, go over to the table, put your hands there, and, like, we used words of affirmation for their hands, like, God made my hands to help, God made my hands for handshakes, God made my hands for high fives, like, different things that God made their hands for. And also, like, you're keeping your hand in this one space for, like, 30 seconds or a minute, whatever their capacity is, just a tiny bit beyond that to help grow it. But, like, we were, like, speaking into them, like, your hands were made for really good things, and here's what they're for. And also, look, you can be in control of your hands, because you just did it for one whole minute, and we're going to keep practicing that. And then the goal is you're in control of your hands when you're dysregulated, and it's not a fun connection with mama, but they need to learn, like, mom believes I can be in control of my hands. Like, mama knows. There's so much power, empowering moments for them when they know we actually believe they can do the thing we're expecting of them.
Exactly. We are well into the school year, and if you are looking for a little extra support for your kids in their academics, or if your kids are looking for an extra challenge in school, I highly recommend IXL Learning. IXL Learning is an online learning program for kids ages pre-K to 12th grade. It covers math, language arts, science, and social studies. IXL is designed to help them really understand and master topics in a fun way with positive feedback. And the best part is that IXL is so easy for parents. One site gets you all you need, and IXL IXL customizes learning for each child and their needs. Everything on IXL is organized by grade, subject, topic, and subtopic, making it simple to find activities for the exact skills you are covering. And IXL offers instant feedback and explanations of new topics as kids are learning to use the program, so you can feel confident that your kids will gain an understanding of the skills they are learning. Make an impact of your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Pardon the Mess listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com/today. Visit IXL.com/today to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. Y'all, I think you're seeing why I have them on. The Flourishing Family is their book, and it is so good and so packed. And again, I wish I'd had it many years ago, but I really agree with you. I love what you're saying. I think I've seen the other side of some of this going like it does work, and it gives you, I don't know, it gives you a plan and direction of like how to look at these kids that you love and you want to honor them as well, but they're also just little tiny humans that are sitting around the clock like we are. One hard other lesson I learned, and then I want to end with like respect, but I did expect too much of them. And I did think that a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old could figure this stuff out, and it's not reality. And so I don't know if you're home all day or you're only home with them in the evenings, but my caution and advice would be to really take what they're saying seriously about what do we want them to do and not expecting. And there are times, they were 8 and 10 and say, what do you guys think you should do? Because they'd already learned it, but we've been talking about it from 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. But to expect 2 siblings to figure out how to handle conflict over a Barbie doll is not reasonable. You know what I mean? Right. Or how to share with a friend that keeps hitting them. Like I think you're all bringing up a great point to say, like, you can do this and it won't always be that way, but they do need us. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And like our story is with Legos. We have like 20,000 Legos, but they needed the same one, And so we had years and years of practicing how to solve problems and conflict over a Lego piece. And then, that was when they were, 4 and 5, whenever they started playing with real size Legos. And literally years. And then a few,
and it was so frustrating as parents because you're like, there's this enormous amount of
like, that room is full.
And you're
fighting
one tiny piece. Right. You have got to be kidding me right now. That's how you feel as a parent, like just what in the world? But I mean, it is part of the process.
They're 9 and 10, and even our autistic son, like he'll come up and he'll tell his brother, like, hey, I'm building this and this piece on this thing you created. I need it. Can I use it? And they'll be like, oh yeah, sure. I don't need that to be created that way. Or no, can you use a yellow one? Or can you find me a yellow one and I'll replace it? Like they don't fight over Lego pieces when they need the same one. And they don't need me to come in and help them practice and ask them, how do we solve problems? And how can we consider the other person's needs and feelings? Like they don't need me to do that because now it's just the habit of their relationship. And so I want to offer that as hope for the parents of little children, where it's like, I am not seeing the fruit of what I'm teaching. It will come. Like you're not growing a plant that just, produces fruit 3 months. It's not a pumpkin. It's not going to have, you're not going to have a pumpkin months, like you're growing an olive tree and it's going to take years to see that through. But when it,
I agree. Even in the most simple, like I feel like for years I was saying, nope, can you ask kindly for that, please? And thank you, please. And thank you. And then they all of a sudden started saying, please. And thank you. And you're like, oh, they were listening. This has been years of saying like, try that again. And so I want to talk quickly about respect and then we'll end there. But for my kids, and again, I think it's for all kids, respect was on very high up there, just on how they treated other people, other property, their own siblings, as parents. So try that again was something I said all the time, like try that again with respect. And they would often say statements like boss each other or boss me. And I would say, try that again with a question. Okay. Instead of mommy, give me the milk. It's like, Mom, may I have some more milk? It's like just that little tweaking was super helpful. And then the one that I look back, because we'll go to restaurants or something and there'll be kids like running through the flowers and stomping on things and coloring on walls. And they're like, did we do that? I'm like, no, we didn't do that. You thought about it, but we would have a discussion in the car before we went into anything, before we went into, Target, we would kind of prep and practice to say like, hey, when we're in here, It's not appropriate to run around the restaurant, or we're not going to go out to eat. It's appropriate to sit in your chair. It's appropriate, those kinds of things. So I just want to give that as a tool to parents to say, like, you can practice ahead of time so they know what to do, is your whole point. Like, what do I do? We got to tell them, kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on just respect, and any last words there?
Yeah. So preparing them is huge. And also, like, especially if you have maybe a younger child or a neurodiverse child, to tell them, like, and if you need a reminder, here's what I'm going to do, so that, like, they know, if I get this wrong, I'm not immediately getting in trouble. Like, if you need help, you can sit on my lap. If you're, like, talking about the restaurant, if you're trying to lay down in your chair, then you're going to come sit in my lap. So you let them know, I'm here to help you. I think one thing to remember with respect is, like, just because you feel disrespected does not always mean that's their intention. And so we want to be aware of, like, how we respond in that, to be mindful of what's going on in our child, while also discipling them and guiding them in what are socially acceptable ways to say that, like, how can you turn that into a question? But really, like, don't take everything personally as a parent. Like, that's something that I very much had to unlearn, is to just be like, you know what, I'm feeling disrespected, but that doesn't mean that's my child's heart. Respect and honor are postures of the heart. And so I want to help my child, like, whatever's coming out, their behavior or their words, I want to assume that I can help match their heart to what's, to how it's coming out, because we actually have a great relationship, and God designed children to be deeply connected and attached to their parents. So, like, let's assume that that's what's happening, and there just needs to be a change in how it's presenting, and nurture them in that, taking it personal and trying to demand respect, because that doesn't come out right.
I needed to hear that today, of teenagers that are awesome, and we are so tight. And I really did. I'm like, I do need to just preach to myself today, say, assume the best, because for some reason that disrespect thing, it, like, gets me, like, it's like all the hairs go up on my head. So I love that prompting for me, just to pause and just assume the best about the way it's coming out of them. That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was so helpful. David, any last words that you want to end on, or things that you want to say before we close?
I mean, I was thinking about respect. Dads tend to be even more attuned to issues of respect than moms are, speaking broadly. And so it is something that, having that mindset of, like, okay, and especially, when you, as your kids get older, it's like, I don't know if you meant to sound disrespectful right there, but you did. Okay. And that's more of a grade school and onwards, because that's going to keep going for a while, on through the teenage years.
Amen.
And, and at the younger years, sometimes, some things we're going to say, well, we're just going to let that one go, and we're going to move on. We're going to address, in some ways, I'm not going to ask my child to address my feelings about their behavior.
Right.
Okay.
It's so good.
Stop there. Leave you hanging.
Mic drop. Thanks for coming.
Maybe we need to address the behavior, okay? But me and Jesus, we're going to work on myself, okay?
So good.
And try to be the parent that our child needs. So that's a terrible place to end, but that's where we are.
No, I think it's brilliant. And I think, as y'all were talking too, I love that you gave that example of letting things go, because that was another thing I saw with friends. Out of this, like, quest to have good behaving kids, we would be on their every move. And I'm like, what does that feel like if you're always in trouble? And so I think y'all believe that too. Maybe, Amanda, you can just give us one last word on, like, our kids need to see that they're doing things right, that they're not in trouble all the time, that it's not just a correcting fest all day long.
Yeah. So this is actually something that we learned from Connected Families, is affirming, like, the good that's underneath the behavior, and really calling out the way that God made them and the good purpose that the exact, like, that same behavior, if it's flipped over in a productive way, like, God created your child on purpose with that in mind, and really telling. So, like, even just a couple of days ago, one of our kiddos, like, his screen time was over, and he flipped over to his brothers account so that he could have more screen time. And I was like, and when I figured that out, I was like, you know what? God made you with a brain that solves problems so quickly. You are so creative. And I could have been like, you're sneaky and you're breaking the rules. But instead I was like, I'm taking the Kindle away from him and putting it away because his time is done. And I was like, I love that this is how God made you and you're going to solve problems. I wonder what might this look like next time? And he's older now. So we can talk about like next time, if you have a problem and you want more Kindle time, how can that creative, God-given good thing, how can that look different in a very purposeful and positive way? And so really speaking that life over them, God made them Ephesians 2 applies to our children. Like they were created for good works, and speaking that over them, and the bad works that are showing up, what does it look like if we flip it to good and motivate it towards God's good goal for them?
Love it. Guys, thank you so much. This was incredible. Again, I wish I'd had it. The Flourishing Family is their ministry, and I'll link to their website and their book, and I just appreciate you both so much. Keep up the great work over there.
Great. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pardon the Mess. As always, we've got more encouragement and resources over at christianparenting.org. And you can also stay connected with us on social media at Pardon the Mess. And if you like this episode, I'd love for you to do two things. Press follow on whatever podcast platform you love, and also be sure to leave a rating so other parents can find us. Remember, you're never alone in this beautiful mess of parenting.
You might think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. While farmers work hard to grow the best crop, their Iowa corn checkoff investments are hard at work too. Opening local and global markets for corn and corn-fed products, educating drivers on unleaded 88 as the best fuel at the pump, finding new uses for corn, and sharing the farmer's story. Iowa corn farmers are backed by researchers, educators, market experts, and more to keep corn growing Iowa.